building before, but it could be for some, could have been for some time, right? And we've made some major advancements and progress over the last few years. And so I'm going to give you the quick background, the quick story, how we formed, and just kind of refresh that. And then we'll get into the tour and show you some of the new equipment and the programs that we do here. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce a couple of the key members of our team. This is Dr. Ray Cawthorn. He is our head of instruction here at Bolt. Dr. Ray is a bit of what I call a unicorn. So all of our instructors come from industry. So they have a long career in manufacturing. And the model from day one is, let's take folks that are retiring out from their traditional career in manufacturing, but have a whole lot of knowledge and experience on the day-to-day practical implementation of what it takes to be a maintenance mechanic or an electrician or others. And then let's teach them how to teach. And they can download all that wisdom and knowledge into the next generation. So he started with a helicopter mechanic in the Army, and then he's had mining and part of the Marine Corps, part of the Hannafin. He had a long career there, and then he got his PhD in mechanical engineering, I think, along the way. So he's got the best of the academic as well
mechanic
as
first.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so he handles all the instructors, he handles all the curriculum, he oversees the day-to-day implementation of the programs. And then we have Irene Morales. Irene is our student engagement director and works with students that are onboarding to join the programs as well as that are currently in the program. So part of our model here at Bolt is not only just to get you in, but to keep with you during your pace. You're here for several months in most cases. During that time, life's going to be up, life's going to be down, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, and we want to make sure that you're constantly moving through the program at a good pace, because our goal is to get you placed, get you working, and to have you start your career. So a lot of life happens in your interactions with the students, and you can really engage with them and make sure that they're staying on track, not getting sidetracked.
And how long has she been with Bolt?
She's new.
I've been here since October.
Nice.
So jump right in. I do have a little bit of manufacturing background. I was able to have experience in that one, in the engineering department there. And then I was also with Delicata, the HR department there for about 5 years. So I have some manufacturing background, so I have some experience.
We've got a whole host of other instructors. You'll see them dealing with the students today. We have a director of marketing and student engagement who works with Irene Fox, who's not here today. We had a prior engagement, but collectively we've got a really strong team. And we do our best to make sure that we have two customers here. We have our students and we have the companies. The companies are looking for talent. These people are looking for jobs, careers, and so we're that connection. Bolt's story, I'll be brief on all this because I know we're pressed for time. Bolt's story, as some of you know, begins at the end of 2016. At the time, a new group was being formed called Opportunity Stanislaus. It kind of came out of the old Stanislaus Business Alliance model. And it was going around asking employers what they needed and how they could help. And when you go around and you ask companies what they need, they'll tell you. And we went around and asked Gallo and Foster Farms and Hilmar Cheese and PSC and all the major job employers in the area what their challenge was. And they all had the same problem. Workforce, workforce, workforce. There was a skill gap issue. We had people, we had open jobs, but they weren't aligning. And not only was it really bad back then, but they were fast forwarding 1, 3, 5 years from now. And they said, man, we've got a lot of baby boomers that are going to be walking away from our facilities, and we don't have a place to train, and we don't even know how to get the people into the vocational training programs to even begin to make that match. Unfortunately, as a community, we had preached for the last 15 years, it was college or bust, right? We said it as parents, we said it as administrators, we said it as counselors, it was college, 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 and unfortunately it left a vacuum where there were folks who were going to college and it wasn't right for them. Or maybe that's not how they learned, and there wasn't really a lot of vocational development. That's starting to change now. And Bolt and some other ways you're seeing that in the community. And so we said, hey, well, let's get in the game. Let's do something innovative, something that nobody else in the economic development world does. And that started an advanced manufacturing training center led by private industry to meet the needs of the private sector in really, really, really important careers with them. And so we set to do just that. Our seed money came from private industry, so we hired a project manager, bought a bunch of equipment, put together the curriculum, hired some staff. We had this crawl, walk, run approach. We started, did a little bit more, and did a little bit more until we got our case. So if you saw the facility a couple of years ago, it probably looks a lot different than it does now. not only are there new training programs and different equipment, but we branched out into a number of different disciplines. We do leadership training programs. We do project management classes. We do a lot of boot camp style training on very specific needs and skills that our companies have said, we have a demand for this, and then we respond to it. So the core of this, though, is led by business and moves at the speed of business. So we're constantly nimble, and we get good at something, and then something else comes up, and we need to get good at that. And that's the model here. The building itself is the former Modesto B campus. It's 1 square block. It's about 150,000 square feet in total. And this is about half of it here on the industrial side. When we were starting the concept of Volt, there was one major thing that we were missing, and that was a home. And about that time that we were starting to vet different options, the County Office of Education came to us and said, hey guys, we want to purchase the former Modesto B site because we want to create a vocational training campus to serve all the major industries of the northern San Joaquin Valley. And with you doing what you want to do for manufacturing, we can link up together, run Volt as a joint venture. We have a home for you. We're going to repurpose and develop this space out. And we said, hey, that's a really good idea. So we've done that. We've launched the County Office of Education as a partner in Volt. You get the best of both worlds when you come to Volt. You get the employer-led, practical experience from the instructors, knowing that the jobs that you're training for are in demand because we're nimble. But you also get the academic credentialing that comes with the County Office of Education. So if I'm a person, I want to know if there's validity here, if there's sustainability here, having the SCO sort of stamp on approval means that we're doing things in an orderly fashion, so we can blend that with the best of both worlds. We're going to show you the different curriculum today and some of the different programs. I'll say everything that you'll see today has been sort of signed off by our advisory board. We have an advisory board made up of industry leaders, technical and director level people, who we bring these things to when we're making major investments, and we say, okay, this is what we think we heard from you. These are the skills and the jobs that you have open. This is how automation and technology is advancing in your facilities. Is this in line with where you're going? We don't make a major decision without having that advisory board sign off on that. So we want to stay in lockstep with where they're located. And that's where we're at today. Anything I missed? Okay. Any questions before we get started with the tour?
Quick question.
Yes.
How many faculty do we have here? How many teachers?
Yeah. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about 5 sort of permanent, and then we have a dedicated, and then we have another 4 or 5 filling. So as people call off or vacation time or whatever, we have day and night classes. So the night class tends to be folks that are working, and then they want to come back and sub for a class, and they're working for G3 or they're working for these big manufacturers, and they like to give back. So we've got a host of people.
That's fine.
And how many students?
Yeah, so this year our goal is to train 85 students in very hard skills, so in automation, electrical, and mechanical, and to train another 150 in boot camp style training. So they're not here for months, they're here for multiple weeks. They get a very specific designation, skill, and certificate, and then they go back into the workforce.
Why don't you talk also about the tuition?
Sure. Yeah, so the tuition, there's a cost to come to Volt, of course, like anything. We're priced at about half of the other vocational training centers in the Stanislaus County area. We're ran by Opportunity Stanislaus, which is with C3. So the goal here is we got to cover our costs as much as we can. And then industry fills the gap. So everything we do here is very affordable. We have multiple ways that students pay for their tuition. One way is they pay for it. It's their post-secondary option, and they pay for it because they save money. And you're talking thousands, a couple $1,000s, not tens of thousands of dollars. So in some cases, it's doable. We also have a great student loan program with Valley First Credit Union. And so they've got a favorable program if students want to take out a loan to pay for their training. They don't have to pay it back until they're done and working in industry and getting a paycheck. Then they can pay that off first. It's very local and very supportive. We have a lot of companies that will pay for people's training. So companies will either pay their internal employees to go through here, or they'll look to hire students and then pay back their student loan if they stay with them over time. And then during COVID, we've actually had a lot of our cities locally use their ARPA funds or their federal government stimulus dollars to pay for folks who lost their job in the restaurant industry or the hospitality industry. They'll pay for them to bridge over, learn a new trade, and then start their skill and retrain in manufacturing. And we've seen a lot of successful outcomes there. You never know how that's going to turn out. Someone that's been in one industry for a long time, coming back and retraining and joining something else. We've had some really good stories of folks that have been that successful.
But the students have an investment, I'm sorry.
Student age range? It's older than you might think. The typical age is 25 to 36 bracket. So typically these are folks that are several years removed from high school and they're realizing that I need a career. Or maybe they did something for a few years, but they don't have any formal training. Going back and going to a 4-year college is tough. Even the community college can be difficult. But they can come here for a matter of months.
So students that are in high school can come here, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're 18 and above. So you have to be 18, you have to have a high school diploma or GED, and then you're welcome to come in. And we've got feeder programs. If the maintenance program or the Megatronics program isn't right for you, if you're not ready for it, we've got feeder bridge programs that we can sort of advance you up over time. To your question, Craig,
The students though have skin in the game.
they do.
Yeah.
So even the students that are on a scholarship program still have student in the game. The scholarship is sort of held by Valley First Credit Union, and there's some obligation there if they default. So yes, they have skin in the game.
Very good.
As we go, we'll start here on our Megatronic System, which is our new toy. Dr. Ray is going to give you sort of an overview of how that program works. If you have any questions as we go through any of this, we'll just start here, work our way over and then up, and then if you have questions, just fire away. Okay? All right, let's pull that. We know that robotics and sensor technology and PLCs are becoming more of the norm, and so we wanted to keep pace with that. No. Yeah, so I'm saying, so this unit here is taught by Dr. Ray. This is really sort of keeping pace with where automation is headed. Dr. Ray, take it away.
All right, so we have an order in here. She's going to start the order. So there's a lot of different styles of sensors, different styles of motors. There's hydraulics, there's pneumatics, of course electrical. Each one has a PLC, so you know on the bottom. So all the PLCs are copied back to the main computer. And so this is going to move along, so we're making a valve body. So this is the valve body we're making. It's actuated over here to get it tested. That's the port. And the acrylic part is upside down or bent and wrong. And there's a conveyor belt, there's a screw drive, all the different things that you guys need to learn on. We can run it remotely through this unit, so I can get on the computer and make these things.
Okay, there you go.
Be connected. So it's through here. And then there's a robot. We'll get a spring. Show what you can do. So he'll take the spring component, put it down where it's going to be installed. He also moves the blocks to the low
So the skill that's being learned is on your side, not over here. It's learning how to operate that?
No, you're incorrect. It's all done from over there. I'm over here so you can see me and I can talk to you.
Okay.
I can take that wherever. It's got a long thing on it. It also has an automatic program that you put on, and when it gets to that station, it will do it. But I wanted to be over here so I can talk to you.
So the skill here really is the programming of the process in each step, right?
Right, they're learning the ladder
Yep.
logic,
Yeah.
they're learning how to go in and measure 24 volts on the switch and see if it's working correctly.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to get the
Training down here.
Now it's going to go through the
So,
hydraulic.
Okay.
And then this uses differential pressure to move. So pick up the part and move it around.
Okay.
It's a very unique situation because we have pressure on both ends of the cylinder head. And it has to be precise so that it can move around. So there's two sensors.
PSI and all that.
Yep. And then he puts it in there, and then another robot can pick it up and take it wherever too. That's
Sure.
another part that we can do later on.
Yeah.
What the finished product? Yeah, very nice.
So these are individual stations, so the students learn about each individual station. They progress through until they've learned about all the individual stations. Then they come together and we put it in one closed loop system. And so what this has at each station is called something called Fault Pro. So that means that Dr. Ray can program a fault in any of the stations and the whole system will stop, turn red, and freeze. And then the student's job will be to troubleshoot and find out why it went bad. They'll start with visual assessment.
What do you do to fix it? Even that, you know, you gotta know that you're gonna have to pull that back out and set all this. To be able to run.
Right.
And so they'll have to understand how to troubleshoot and get the system back up and running.
Right. One of the things, Dr. Ray, and I really like, I just noticed this, is on your Emetrol controllers here, you've got each one labeled for what different module this is.
Yeah, they're all labeled.
Right, so you know what area of troubleshooting you need to
And then,
focus.
so even if they did everything they were supposed to do,
Yep.
they'd still be wondering why the light is still red. Right?
Okay.
And they go, that's red because there's parts loaded in there. I can't go on automatic when there's parts in there.
Yep.
But I like those colors.
Yeah, nice.
So what employers are you
A lot of
need?
these companies.
Yeah, so
I asked the same question.
Yes,
I know we're on camera here, so I'm not sure how much I can say about individual employers. We've got a lot of employers that are bringing on robotics. You're seeing a lot of it in the palletization. You're seeing it in the bottling industry. You're seeing it in all the you don't do a lot of warehousing, but all the warehousing for the manufacturing are using this. Logistics part of our manufacturers.
Labeling, parts identification, all this stuff.
The wine industry is using it.
Yeah, we can say it that way.
The food processing industry
Oh, who are you talking?
is using it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, things of that nature.
Manufacturing and production.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah, and there's so many different styles of components on here that
Right.
you're gonna have most of this.
Depending on how long your channel is, or size of containers, or what you need to move, and yeah.
How long does it take to reprogram from one product to another? You know,
We're just doing one product, that would be more of a manufacturing type of question. It depends on the process, it depends on what you're making, there's a lot of factors that are involved.
Sure.
So you have to take everything into consideration.
So just maybe for verification or clarification here, a process like this with the entire closed loop system, how many lines of programming would you say approximately that is? Just to give you kind of scale
each
here.
component has its own amount.
Right.
So, do logic for this. One of the components here. So to do logic for this, I'm going to have to program each one of these 2 points in here to hand it off to the next one.
Right.
And then
For
these
each
hand
one.
each other off as
Yep.
well. So, yes, so that's what it takes.
Yeah, a lot of steps
And we
involved.
do go in and alter it. They write their own programs.
Good.
So we do that.
Good.
It is
Fantastic.
You can't know just a little of it. You gotta know.
Yep.
So it's 22 weeks. Yeah. That's your next question. There's 11 weeks before they even get here.
Sure.
Doing
No
other
doubt.
things in here like pneumatic, movement, rating, electrical, before they can even get on. PLC.
Good.
Pretty well thought out.
Can we move on to hydraulics, or did you have a
Yeah,
question?
No, this is great. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for the.
Filter, changing out the fluid, things like that. And then we can actually go on the back. I don't know. Come around to the back side. We can shut some of these valves. And then they have to figure out what's wrong. Right? So all of these things, they go through Amatrol, is the company that put out the equipment, and they have online, they do online work, and then they do quizzes, They have to have 90%, 100% on safety, makes sense?
Sure.
And I like to fill in the other 10% or 20%, whatever they don't get. I like to fill it in and let them know what happened. Because we can see it all. We know what's going on. Really good setup.
So then they come out to the lab. So they'll do their homework,
Yep.
their classwork, they'll take quizzes. they'll
Oh,
make
they can
sure
do it at
they know
home too.
They
On
can
the
do some of that at
computers.
home. It's all web-based.
You know, so use
So that helps
it
us with
on the lab.
COVID. You know, that helped us a little bit to be able to keep people moving through. And then they'll come out into the lab with the instructor. and
Yeah,
they'll
so
hands-on.
it's quite a bit of. This particular one is higher voltage.
See
We're
that?
gonna have to deal with higher voltage. We have
Yep.
some higher voltage units upstairs that I'll show you. And then over here we have machining. So they learn the lathe, they learn using the mill, and rigging for lifting parts and moving parts around, as well as there's a welding here. So we do MIG and TIG. We could do arc also on our TIG machine if we want to.
Oh, good, yeah. Okay.
So they're learning some of the. And then here they're still doing some drilling.
Good.
They have to know how
Drill
to
presses, lathe,
cut materials, that kind of thing.
It's very nice.
Lots of different styles. That's a smaller unit. Maybe they have a small one. If they don't have that, they can make it.
Sure. Did you? Okay.
I love using that stuff.
Hands on.
Yeah. Great. Pipe very cool. So they can do installs on pipe, or they can replace pieces of pipe.
And I'm asking for such.
And
So this is the only one we're doing.
then we have process control. So in the process control area, all of this stuff can be hooked together, and we can run a process like inside the plant. So you have the intervention material over here, and you can check the flows here as it goes down the line. And then thermal control, you set a temperature. If it gets too low, it'll go up and everything. So you have a chiller, and then, of course, the heater.
Yeah, sure.
And then the analytical process, now you can change, I want to change the pH of my product. I want my product at a certain pH
Okay.
or some other parameter. I can do that with this system. And then from there it goes into the pressure control system where it's moving the product at a certain rate to fill up. This could be larger, a lot larger usually.
Sure.
And so that's what that's done. And they all hook into the computer as well. So you can monitor them. They all have PLCs and different styles of valves.
And all this equipment donated, like this room is sponsored by,
No.
If you want to, you can.
Yeah.
You can absolutely do
I
that.
would think that Orbitrol could like maybe be a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a bunch of tables and chairs donated.
You did have the tables and chairs.
Good.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So everything comes from Megatronic, which makes like custom.
Right, for the different stations, yeah. Sure. Yep.
Sometimes
So-
donations aren't so nice, right?
Yeah.
It's also the tables that you want.
One of the questions I have for you too is, coming from industry, what is it that you like about the customization of the Megatronic systems where it plugs into your curriculum as compared to going with like Alan Bradley trainer or Rockwell, that kind of thing?
So we do have, there's Alan Bradley, there's one, we have all these extra PLCs also to teach.
Okay,
But
okay.
I like the versatility of the program.
Okay.
I like that it's flexible. I think that's good for companies.
Sure.
Because then they can practice on some of this stuff and go, hey, I got a better idea at work. Maybe I can help them out.
Right.
And the other factor to that is I get information back from students that are working and coming and doing this activity.
Good.
And then they're telling me, how wonderful they just learned something, and then they did it the next day at work. So
There you go. Nice.
It's practical,
Immediately able
it's
to apply it.
usable.
Yeah, that's a beautiful model.
The ROI
Great.
for the company is
Very
awesome.
good.
So,
Any given year, about a third to a half of our students will actually be sent here by their company to upskill.
Sure.
So not only are we training people that are new to the career, but we're training people who had a maybe they were capped at what they could do. They were lower skilled or semi-skilled, maybe even seasonal employees, but they have the intangibles now. And nowadays, it's all about the character and the intangibles. If you show up on time every day, ready to learn with a lot of ambition, the sky's the limit for
They're
them.
ready for it.
They'll tell you, so they'll send them here and they'll be able to customize which course they want to do. So if you're in a certain department and you really need process control, but you don't need electrical or you don't need fabrication, you don't have to go to that. The company can just send you on a specific track for here for so many weeks and then go back to the workforce.
That's very cool.
We have a career accelerator program, kind of like Gary Jeanette, that helps, the fundamental stuff, being an employee in lean manufacturing, how to get with your coworkers, how to be a team player, and a really cool program for new supervisors. A lot of times people were an operator and now they're a supervisor, and they need to know, how do I deal with the people that I've been working with at a different level.
Yeah.
So they have that as well.
So you're trying to fill all the gaps.
That's where we're hitting all the angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want a well-rounded employee that knows what to do. You gotta be on time, gotta wear what you're supposed to wear to work, all those things are gonna be.
Are you only getting employers from this county, or are you starting to widen the scope?
Yeah, we're starting to widen the scope into a 30-county radius. So we're getting employers from San Joaquin County now, from Merced County down south. In fact, for the first time ever, we have an instructor who's currently at a Merced County employer deploying mobile bolt training for welding. So he came up with a custom program for them. He's going down to their facility and he's training 6 of their employees on how to do TIG welding. And so the future of Bolt, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but the future of Bolt is to offer a brick and mortar facility for the people close to Modesto's core, but then to have a Bolt on the go or a mobile Bolt program where we can go to San Joaquin County, which has a great manufacturing base in Hawaii and other things, go to Merced County, which has food processors and tomatoes and all that sort of thing, and be able to meet the needs of the 3-county radius. When gas is $5 a gallon, it's really hard to send a low-level employee and say, drive 45 minutes up to Modesto to get trained.
Several times a week.
It'll take more time too, away from work.
Well, as one person come to you versus,
Yeah.
We can do more.
I mean, one going to them with their whole force there.
And what would such a system look like? We could put this in a van, so you'll see that when we go upstairs. We have a couple of case units that you can look at that would be subject to.
So Tyler, in your last presentation to the Economic Development Committee, you talked about this kind of deployment on the go, right? So is that actually already on the ground going?
It's coming later this year, maybe even early next year. We have started to do it, but we have a plan to do it the way we want to do it.
Sure.
So we're doing it off-site now. We can do it a little bit here and there, but we have a big plan where we're going to take everything that we're seeing here and buy mobile units for it. Really mobilized. And that's all woven into the Opportunity Stanislaus Next Level Together 5-year plan. Bolt is sort of one pillar out of 5 pillars. So we have a team here, we have a staff here, but we're connected to the mothership, which is Opportunity Stanislaus, which has 4 other initiatives that they're working on simultaneously.
And it all rolls up and feeds up.
And it all feeds up to the master strategic plan, so to speak.
Let's go upstairs.
So where is your closest competitor? I mean,
Competitor?
yeah, competitor.
There's a couple. There's a couple here in town. There's Modesto Tech, San Joaquin Valley College.
Okay.
We have a great partnership with MJC. They have a bit of a program, but we have some synergies, so we don't step on each other's toes, and we work really well together. So there are a couple of different private training providers in the area, and
Well, and I think some of that too, correct me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but it depends on the scope of the education, right? So a lot of this is skills-based, more certificated, vocational. Some of the other trainings are a little bit closer to traditional ed, like doing a degree track, associate's degree, this kind of thing. So it depends on where you plug in. Right?
Part of it, you might have to wait for classes or whatever. That doesn't happen here.
Sure.
You just go. Do it.
Well, I guess I'm seeing, okay, if this is effective, maybe thinking too far out. It's effective for here, why wouldn't it be effective in Sacramento?
Sure.
Very Fresno. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It appears to me you found a new niche and a needed niche that our employers and needed. Well, it seems to me like that can be more of a, I don't wanna say global, but, you know, a niche that would be everywhere.
Sure. Yeah, you think
Is
you'd
that
have, you know, other
being filled?
states, everywhere.
Yeah, is that being filled in other locations by other organizations?
Sure. You're starting to see more of that. When we started 5 years ago, this was really a new concept. There was one or two. There was a group in Everett, Washington that Boeing and their suppliers led called the Washington Aerospace and Technical Research Center, which is pretty innovative, the Water Center. We modeled this after the Water Center in a lot of ways. Since then, the South Valley and the Fresno area has come up here looking to do something similar. We're helping to support those efforts. So you're seeing a lot of that now, where industry is getting in the game, saying we're going to lead workforce efforts, talent development, because we need these people.
Yeah, talent development is what you do.
Yeah, we're doing development. We want to do it our way because we know the jobs that they have open. So we constantly give presentations. I just gave one last week to a group down in the South Valley, looking to do something similar. How can we model this off of? So you're seeing a lot of it now develop.
So you're looking at, we want to just be the best that we possibly can, being innovative for our locals, not trying to take it, other than what you talked about, take it on the road to Merced.
Sure.
But really, you're trying to stay in the Tri-County area.
Yeah.
We even had people from another country come in.
Well, that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this can be used anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know what
Pretty
the process
exciting.
would be to monetize the process of making that portal, right? Different learning how learning stations. I think one of the things that, circle back around to what we shared earlier, is the nimbleness and responsiveness, right? If you were to do exactly the same thing in a different state or a different part of the state, the employer base may not be the same, the skill sets they're going to hire may not be the same.
Right, it would have to be tailored to the
tool this
need.
there to meet
Yeah,
those
I'm
needs,
just-
right? So that's.
I'm always thinking bigger.
Sure.
Different.
Our heart from day one was always to reinforce the economy locally.
Yeah.
And that locally is maybe even a 3-county rate, a region, right? If we were all sitting here entrepreneurs saying, hey, how can we franchise this out with the goal of global commercialization, then there'll certainly be probably a pathway for that. But again, our goal from day one was to reinforce the economy and help support our employers in the region.
I don't know, I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, well, because you see it. You see a market, you see a model, and there's a natural logic to it.
Yeah.
So, but
Like a Volt franchise.
yeah.
There you go.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I won't say those conversations haven't been had.
Right.
Well, you got entrepreneurs on your board,
Right.
sure.
Well, I mean, even if franchise isn't the right model, there's another way. Sure.
Yeah, there's,
Sure.
When other people come to us, we're definitely support. At the very least, we're supportive of their efforts to strengthen their economy and develop their workforce. And then we'll see what happens.
And so,
I'm going to start in mechanical and just give an overview of the systems as we progress through that.
no, I mean,
Okay, so mechanical drive. There's a lot of things going on here. We're putting belts on, we're putting chains on, changing gears around, figuring out ratios, horsepower, all the different things that go into manufacturing mechanical drive. So, quite a bit. And then we also have a Prony brake, so we can put a load on it, right? A lot of things going on. This takes probably 11 weeks in itself just to do this mechanical drive. There's so many things. You got a conveyor belt, you're figuring out, okay, what's the ratio on the conveyor belt? It's 1-to-1 on the drive, but is it really 1-to-1? Because you have 1-to-1 in your gearbox.
Yeah, adjustable tension and.
Yep.
Sure. Yep.
Tension, belt alignment.
Yep.
This one has this is crooked,
I see that.
so it's never going to go straight, is it?
No. Well,
Yes,
it's interesting on the trainer too, how you don't have guides on there, right?
Right,
So
right.
you gotta-
So we like to use that for training and showing different situations.
I tell you.
Yeah, this guy, he's gonna reinvent it. I think of that too, those kind of things. So that's a really good part of the program. Then we have AC/DC electrical. This is the basic. You have to know this before you can progress with the new equipment. Teach them how to use the meter. What else?
Oh, of course.
Well, we kind of show them basic stuff in your home too. We'll go over outlets and show them the different style of outlets that you might be plugging your appliances into, or a printer, whatever it may be. So we'll kind of show them the back side of it. Everybody sees the front side, we'll go to the back side. We'll show them how the wires are hooked up, the different styles that you would go buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, and give them some pointers on how to replace them safely. So we put them on the table here, just like an irrigation tank. People don't think about it, but you have your irrigation controller. It's a transformer. So basically, it's encapsulated in plastic. It looks like this, similar. And it's stepped down to a lower voltage that operates your sprinkler timers. So we go over different ones that you would encounter on a daily basis that you never thought of at all. And there's one for like a Wi-Fi netgear. So we'll go over that stuff. There's numbers on the back that mean stuff, and they'll become aware of what those numbers mean and how they relate to what they're used for. So a lot of simple things that you'd see in home environment. I'll kind of take it a little bit step further outside of Amatrol and give them some stuff that they could use at home as well. Because we're working on electrical right here, so we might as well just incorporate a few extra things for them.
Good.
And that makes it fun.
I do that a lot. That's good.
Very practical.
And how does that, maybe that's a good segue to the advanced electrical? Maybe you talk about how some of the, like the three-phase motor controls, wiring, and how that will progress into the motor system.
Yeah, so in the industry, you have the motor control system, which is down here if you guys want to look at it. This is all the new stuff.
Yeah, here we're doing single phase, three-phase generator, all the different things you might encounter at work, and doing the basic run through to make sure it's working correctly. Then we get into more detail over here. I mounted on this one, and then you want to go over a little.
Yeah, so for instance, this type of stuff here would be inside a panel. So if you notice on the far wall over there, you have those bigger panels. You'll see some of the same components inside of those panels, where this is an outdoor study style. So the student will get to come up here and actually hook wires up with the instructor present to go over the scenario of how it works, where power goes from and what it does. We go over transformers and contactors, everything that they would see in an industrial environment. When they open up a panel, they won't be like terrified and like, I don't know what's in there. We're going to go over all that stuff, and they'll actually have hands-on experience of how to identify what's making the problem and how to correct it, and what they're looking at, and to do maintenance on the
Always lock out, tag out, right?
Yep.
There you go. Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff that they can learn right here in a safe environment that's not going to hurt them.
This is 208 volts, so it's not 110, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful.
Pay attention.
Although, any voltage could actually kill you.
Yep.
Yep. So
MTM behind it.
most of the time they look like this. It looks like a spaghetti factory when you open one up. So you have to be able to identify, how does this wire go over here and why does it look like this? Well, this is just a test purpose. So you want to be able to show
And then you can look
how
on
it's
the
done
backside
correctly.
too and see, these are, we can put faults in this one too. Okay? And then they gotta figure out what happened. All these are different faults that we can do on all those units out there. So, there's always trouble. You have to be able to troubleshoot, but you have to understand the theory. You have to understand what's going on and how to take components on and off and everything going through it before you can do the troubleshooting.
Now, these are examples, these 4 units are examples of our sort of mobile trainers.
Yeah.
So again, these are the 2 cases, right? So these are the front side, they can be backed up, they can be put on the truck and driven.
The 2 students on each one of these use it.
So these are intended to stay here. This gives you an example of what the mobile concept looks like.
Sure.
You have, a whole station or warehouse full of these, or room full of these. You take what you need, you put it on the truck with the instructor, and you go down and deliver a specific training that they need over a number of days or weeks, depending on what discipline you're training on. It just gives you a visual of that.
That's, pneumatics in a box, right?
Looks like a science kit I used to have when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Very nice.
That's what I was always pointing to for my dad to get for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great to see the customization of the stations. That's what I love.
Yeah.
You can just roll right through module to module. Very focused, very specific. Nice.
If you did our entire maintenance program together, not including the Megatronics downstairs with the robot, but everything else that you've seen, it'd be about 600 hours of training.
Nice.
So it's very robust if you wanted to do all of it. You're going to leave for a very well-rounded.
Any questions on that?
That's great.
You knew that.
I did, yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have two classrooms. So that's the main classroom for the students. We also have a secondary classroom that we use for a lot of our boot camps and sort of micro trainings. Right now, we're in the middle of a 3 consecutive week PLC course. So we brought in a company called Automation Group. They're sort of a local provider in automation and controls. They're doing a 3-week boot camp on PLCs.
Nice.
So introduction, intermediate, and advanced. We'll have companies that will send their incumbent workers to these boot camps. They'll get upskilled and go back and deploy those learning in there.
So for this 3-week kind of intensive, are these folks that already have some PLC experience in the field and they're coming to get advanced?
Depends on the course. So the first week, there are 3 20-hour sessions.
Okay.
So the first one is intermediate or introduction, then intermediate, then advanced.
Okay.
Most companies will send one person through all 3, and then there'll be sort of a controls person when they're done here.
Got it.
But sometimes you'll have companies that says, hey, this person's already has the basic understanding of PLCs, but they need to go deeper, so they'll sign them up for the second or the third class, depending on what they need.
Got it.
But we do boot camps all the time. We probably do 15 to 20 boot camp sessions every year. These are on different topics. These are, again, PLCs, agile project management, which is a big topic in manufacturing now. Food safety's now been big since COVID, so we did a food safety boot camp last year, and we had a lot of our manufacturers participate in that. So we get a call. I mean, our brand is companies have a need. They call us and say, hey, can you guys help us with X, Y, or Z?
Sure.
And then we'll do everything we can to deliver that.
Nice.
We don't want people going to Texas for training if they can stay in Modesto. We don't want people going to other states or out of our region if we can do that training here locally. Let's keep them here.
So Tyler, how many companies or how many investors do you have currently at Stanislaus?
Yeah, so the new campaign's not quite over yet, but it'll be anywhere between 100 to 125 investors. Yeah.
I know your top four employers.
Our top 4 employers in the county,
I
or
mean,
in-
like G3, Gallo, PSC, Foster. Are those your top 4 donors, I would hope?
they are at the top level. We have a total of about 17 total organizations at the top level this year,
Correct.
Oh,
which is about triple what it was for the first campaign 5 years ago.
yeah.
Yep.
So what we're seeing just from a broad perspective is companies got rolling, they gave us the seed money to get started, we proved ourselves, we delivered what we said, and they said, okay, we'll go to the next level with you.
So what's your campaign this time around?
So our campaign this time is $9 million over 5 years, so $1.8 million a year. The last go round was $1 million a year. So it's almost double,
Almost double,
80%, to what it was. So, we're going from 5 million over 5 years to 9 million over 9 years. We just hit that mark last week. We just hit 9. So now we're going to keep going because we still have some other companies that want to participate.
Nice.
So it's going well. It's going
Very
well.
good.
Congratulations. Broadly speaking, the company, we have a lot of economic muscle here. We've got great powerhouse, world-class manufacturing companies. They needed a reason to come together.
Yeah.
They needed something, and they would if we could prove that.
And we never could do that.
Yeah.
And I hope at the end of your campaign, I should be saying this today, but you need to market that.
Yeah,
For sure.
Because it not only sends a message to locals,
Yeah.
it sends a message to the Bay Area.
That's right.
Hey, we're in this game, we're in it, and we're invested. And I know you're now part of the, Says Opportunity is part of the Bay Area.
Mega region.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was great. But I'm just saying, I think you need to market. I think that's another area. If I was meeting with the two guys once, I told them, no,
Yeah.
you don't need to meet with me, I'll write you a check.
Sure.
That's all I can do, but is now you need to market
Yeah.
who it is. And what, not just what we have to offer. I think that makes sense, sure. But better yet is to market. These are all the companies that have banded together to help employers. Because what we're after is employers, and this is the technical, here's the political. I mean, you know, all the, what they worry about when they're looking at a new community.
Sure.
You need to market to that. A chamber can do their part, but without the companies behind it, you know, you need to, it needs to be united front. And it's, you know, so.
Well, that's part of the reason why we spotlight in our committee, like today, we're, you know, so we're better equipped to go out and say, hey, wait a minute, we have this opportunity here.
Yeah.
You know?
But they need to do it too.
Of
The
course,
chamber's
of course.
limited.
Of course.
Their income is way below that.
Sure.
Well, and it also says for the socioeconomics, for companies that are thinking about moving
Yes.
to Modesto or starting a, even if it's in Patterson, you know, I mean, they're still looking within the county and they see that this opportunity is available.
Well, what resources, when I go there, what resources are they gonna help me with?
Yeah.
And that's where you come in, the organization comes in. And my sense is that isn't being marketed enough. That's, I know I'm off course, but I get that way.
Yeah. You can probably never do it enough, to be honest.
Sure.
We haven't saturated that market, by any means, the Bay Area market. I think we've got a great story to tell. I think
You're starting to get there.
yeah, we're getting the
It really
momentum.
is.
When we talk to companies interested, Volt's one of the first things on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's all about workforce, workforce, workforce. They know there's an economic reason to come to the valley. They know the dollars and cents make sense.
Yeah.
But if you can't find the workforce, if you can't sustain your operation through your people, it doesn't
Or you
matter.
can't train to it.
Or you can't, or you don't have a system to train.
Yeah.
And so being able to say that we are getting in the game, both on the academic side and the workforce side and the private industry side, we're coming together, we're caring about skill development. Industry's right at the center of the table in this. That sells. And that's one of the reasons S2A Modular moved here to Patterson. And there's another instance.
Yeah, and then the political. I mean, somebody
Right.
has got to get them in the same circle.
Well, that's the collaborative part, right?
Well, it is,
Yeah.
but it's, again, you look at your pillars, you talked about the pillars of what these people are looking for.
Sure.
You can't discount political.
Sure.
You gotta bring them along, just like you've done with companies. And I'm not saying it's your responsibility. I'm saying as a community, that's another thing we need to do,
What is the system that we build?
is bring
Yeah, sure.
the political force there too. I mean, I know, we're closer today than we've been for 25 years, in my opinion. But we need to get them totally on board.
That's for the GRC meeting next month.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't go to the.
I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic. I'm just-
But
No, I hear you.
what's beautiful about it though is the
Hear what I'm saying?
collaborative approach with industry to be able to have that workforce
Yeah.
focus
And you're gonna
that makes a sustainable pipeline.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and going on the political nature of things, you know, one of the pillars of the new 5-year campaign for opportunity Stanislaus is to create a CEO roundtable, right? And get the CEOs of these companies together and say, okay, let's think bigger than just workforce. Let's talk about macroeconomic
Common
issues.
thread.
Let's talk about business climate issues.
Sure.
You know, we understand Sacramento, we understand
Well, they all-
California.
they all
How can we leverage support to
together on
create a
the
better
same
business
team,
environment? So
like they
people do
have.
want to stay in the state. They don't want to move out.
Yes.
Well, and I would go so far as to say, at that conversation, at that table, you're probably looking less at opportunities and more about what kinds of threats are there to this environment, right? What do we need to watch out for?
Sure,
So,
yeah.
Well, they're pretty good at doing a SWOT analysis.
Sure.
You do that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, my impression is from Dave, is you guys are doing that
Yeah.
quite often.
yeah.
Well, and I was telling Bill that we now have the CEO roundtable, which is the new pillar of opportunity Stanislaus. So we now have some of the big C-level executives from these companies together in a private fashion to say, okay, what do we want to, let's take a step back and think, what else, what are we missing here? What are the macroeconomic issues that face our businesses in the valley? California's bleeding businesses. How can we get them to come to us instead? How can we create a better business environment and leverage the influence that we have together?
Beautiful. Very nice.
Are you looking at all to expand into healthcare? Because we have such a shortage of RNs, such a shortage of LPNs. I mean, just throughout the healthcare industry. Is
Yeah.
that a possible area that Oak could?
I'm thinking your education people, your community foundation, I just came off that board and they are really pushing theirs. I mean,
Yep.
these guys probably need to stay in the technical
Right.
lane and get others.
Yeah.
And it would be more the education side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
just the
and-
shortage of.
Yeah.
Sure, and historically though too, is that some of those traditionally more professional set, the educators, the nurses, the healthcare workers, that kind of thing, is a completely different skill set than what we're looking at today, right? First of all. But the other piece is, to Greg's point, is a lot of those bodies come backed by a very strong political engine. And, California Teachers Association, for example, right, or the nursing board, right? These have strong regulations in our state of what they will and will not accept or tolerate or promote. And so kind of wrapping your arms around that is a little bit different operating animal than the kind of training we're doing here technically, right?
Yeah, and I have some add layers to that. So SCO, county office, is very involved in that. And they have a whole
Yeah,
wing that's
that's
part of that
education.
conversation, because that's very formal in that instruction. But also, one of our newest student that just got placed, Turlock young man, 2 kids, a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old daughter.
Nice.
He was driving to the west side for the logistics industry, wanted to work closer to home. He just got hired at a Manual Medical Center. He's their daytime maintenance mechanic to fix all their beds and all their HVAC and all their mechanical stuff that goes on in the hospital.
I was thinking.
Just the mechanical stuff there.
Yeah.
The technical side of the medical profession, like radiology.
Got
tech,
it, got it.
Where they have a waiting list to get in a program, it's a lottery, and yet, so something that uses the technical equipment.
There's still some barriers there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes, for sure.
Very good.
Neat.
Well, great conversation.
Yeah,
I don't
we're
know
done after
what other
this,
questions we
yeah.
have.
Yeah, that's it. Unless you guys have anything else for me?
No, that's awesome.
Thank you
Tyler,
very
thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming out. Thanks for making us part of your day.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of
it.
course.